maybe there were some homework assignments that people were following up on maybe, and asking good questions. So I hope that you guys asked me a lot of great questions. I'm better that way. So just to tell you all a little bit about myself, my name is Dr. Julie Shaw. And yeah, I've kind of had a crazy career path. Anybody who knows me knows that I am involved with everything. And so if I back up even to relate to you all, what was interesting about my playing career is that I didn't actually start playing basketball until I was a freshman in high school. So I got started very late. So even for these younger ones that are on the call, like, you're already ahead of the game in my eyes. And then maybe if you didn't start, maybe you started a little bit later, like, there's still some time for you to develop and for you to grow. And I'm 6'1". I was in the band, I was in my books, and all my friends actually played basketball at the junior high, and they were like, "You're too tall, like, what are you doing?" So they kind of encouraged me to go and try out for the team when I got to high school. I was very fortunate enough to be a part of a great school where a lot of the players there at the high school got scholarships or went on to continue their playing career. And so that was something that I also wasn't very familiar with. I didn't know too much about the recruiting process. My parents didn't know too much about the recruiting process. So that's something that I really identified with as I got into the coaching ranks, because then I wanted to educate everybody, because pretty much I didn't have that education. So I wanted to pass that on to anybody else that, needed it. So I went on to play at UC Riverside. So I'm from Southern California. I'm in LA currently. And I played collegiately at UC Riverside. I chose to stay closer to home. My college was literally the next block over from my high school. And I was fighting it, but I went on my recruiting trips, as you should, and go check out the schools, get to know the team, get to know the coaches, and that was a good fit for me. So that was a good fit for me. I chose to go there. I had a great career there. And then I had the opportunity to play overseas. So then I played overseas, which I also didn't expect, but me staying in the gym, meeting other women that were playing, got exposed to that, met someone who was playing over there, and I was able to go over to Portugal and play overseas. Then when I came back, I knew I wanted to continue my education. And so I went on to but I didn't want to pay for my education. So that was another thing too, is really finding opportunities, because there are resources out there to help you supplement for your education. So I went on to search for graduate assistant positions, and where I could again use basketball to help me. So there are positions where you can get, again, kind of scholarships or funding. So I went on to get a graduate assistant position as a coach at a Division III university. And that exposed me to Division III, because our college started out Division II, and then it transitioned to Division I while I was playing collegiately. But then now as a coach, I got to experience Division III. So I've kind of gotten to see all these different levels. And then at Division III, I made it a goal to be a Division I assistant coach within 5 years. It happened in one. Again, from the connections that I had, I ran into an old high school teammate, and she was coaching, and there was a position open. And so I was able to go to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, which I actually got off a phone call before this and did a whole alumni social with them on Zoom. So I've been Zooming all day, but it was really great to see all of my former players over the years. And when I was at Cal Poly, I was there for probably about 6 years, and was able to be a part of taking a team that had maybe always finished maybe 4th, 5th in the conference, and shattered records. Like, we were able to change the mentality of the young women there, to where we ended up winning championships, had several player of the years. And so that was a really great thing to be a part of. After that, I got an opportunity to be up there in the Pacific Northwest, where all of you are, and I got to coach at Gonzaga University. So maybe some of you have heard of them. And so I was able to coach there along with Kelly Graves, who is now at the University of Oregon. And I'm sure you've heard of him as well. And so I had the opportunity to learn from him and the coaching staff there, and we're still very, very good friends. and see what an established tradition of winning looks like, and learn from there. And was able to go to the Sweet 16 while I was there at GU. And then after that, I got a head coaching position back down where I live at home, close to my hometown, at a Division III. And so from, again, my earlier experience as a Division III graduate assistant, it opened my eyes to another culture and another level, to where I said if I ever had an opportunity to be a head coach, I would be at a D3. And then, so I had the opportunity there. And then after that, or I guess throughout all that, I was pursuing my education. So that's something that's very near and dear to my heart, was instilled into me and my family. So while I was coaching full time from Cal Poly and while at Gonzaga, I was pursuing my master's and then my doctoral degree. So then I was able to obtain that. And even while I was coaching at GU, I took on a class and was a professor on campus. And so what I learned from that is and which is a big lesson that I try to tell a lot of athletes, is don't get trapped in this bubble where it's all, I mean, granted, I love the sport, but you are so much more than the sport. And so it's, what can you find out about yourselves? What passions do you have? You are a multifaceted individual. So how can you tap into those strengths and those passions, and to, how else can you stretch yourself? That's one reason why I got my doctoral degree. Since I could not play anymore, I said, how else can I compete? So I could compete in the classroom. I saw the stats out there, particularly people who hold their doctoral degree, and especially women of color that hold it. It was a small percentage. It's probably about 1% to 2% of people that have it. So I said, okay, well then I'm going to win that, and I'm going to be a part of that. So that's why I chose to pursue my doctoral degree. And that education has opened up so many more doors for me, so many more opportunities for me, to where I have even gotten to work with Billie Jean King, which I hope, how many of you know who Billie Jean King is? I don't know if we could do a poll or like
who knows? Just the coaches.
Just the coaches. Maybe you could put it in the chat so I can see, like, if somebody knows who Billie Jean King is, please type who she is in there, and I'll wait for it as I talk. But I got to work for her in New York City at the Women's Sports Foundation. Mm-hmm. And then because I decided to leave coaching, because I was exposed to so many amazing people, again, particularly women, because if you can see her, you can be her. And so I saw so many women that I was just like, I want to be like that, or I'm interested in that. How did they get there? And I wanted to keep sports still within my realm, but I wanted to stretch myself even further. Just like you stretch yourself in the classroom or on the court, I wanted to stretch myself, like, personally. So then I decided to make that big leap of faith, and I didn't have a job. I just knew I had to leave. And then I ended up moving to Atlanta. I got a job with the Atlanta Hawks. And then that's when I got a call from the Women's Sports Foundation, just because of all the work I had been doing while I was coaching. They said, oh, I think you would be a good fit for this. And so that's another lesson, is someone's always watching you. So someone might see something in you that you haven't seen in yourself, and then they may, call you up. They may ask if you're interested. And yes, I see Emily put in there, an American tennis player. So yeah, so Billie Jean King is essentially like, there would be no Serena Williams if there wasn't a Billie Jean King. And, I have my equality t-shirt on today. But she played in a famous tennis match that was the Battle of the Sexes. And especially for you as young women, she was one of the pioneers for Title IX. So essentially, y'all wouldn't be playing if she didn't play. So that's a part of a big thing that I love to tell young women, is know your history. Because you are living in a day and age where you're very fortunate, and there are so many role models that you have in women empowerment, that there was a struggle fought long before for you to be able to participate in the sport that you love. So then after that, I moved back here to Los Angeles, got a job with the Los Angeles Clippers, where I was the coordinator of their youth development. So I was able to train other coaches to help coach the coaches that are out there coaching the youth in the community, different community initiatives. And then currently I am a organizational leadership coach. So I go into Fortune 500 companies, and it all translates. And that's the best thing about sports is you are working with a team. It all translates to where now I can work with executives at Starbucks, or I can work with global managers at Microsoft. And because it's all about a teamwork, it's all about communication. It's all about how you lead. So combining, I think, my athletic experience with my education, I've been able to still coach other people to help lead their teams to be successful. So that's kind of it right now, but kind of zoomed through that. But hopefully I can answer any and all questions. I've probably experienced it all as a coach, as a player myself. But I'm here to help. Like I still talk to a lot of my players, and I've always told them, as long as I'm your coach, I don't care how long, like you can call on me for anything, and that, I can help you out with life or with your career. Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, ladies. I'm sure that's triggered a lot.
I have a question.
Go for it, Emily.
What's the most important trait you look for in a player? Like as a coach recruiting or looking for players to come in, what's the most important trait you look for? What stands out in a player to you?
Yeah, that's an important question. I think the important traits that I love looking for in a player, and which a lot of coaches love looking for, is, let me give you a few. It's going to be, I think, number one, your character. So it's really going to be your character, how you treat other people, how you treat your teammates, how you speak. I know there was a time I went out recruiting, and I went to go use the bathroom because you're sitting in the stands all day, and there was a player that I was watching that I had marked down, and the way that she spoke in the bathroom, like to another girl, and just how she carried herself, I crossed her off my list. I was like, that's not the type of person that I want to have in my program. Yeah, so you got to watch what you say. So there's things like that. We love competitiveness. The people are going to look for, obviously, your skills and your talents along those lines, but I think it's the deeper things like character. It's going to be, how good of a teammate you are, how coachable you are, and also your academics. Your academics will play a big part, because your academics will show how committed you are, again, how coachable you are, how dedicated you are, and it's going to make it easier for a coach to get you on campus, because that's one thing that, yes, there are institutions and there are coaches that can bend the rules for you if your grades aren't that good. I'm just being completely honest and transparent, like that does happen. But the easier that you make it to get you onto a campus, especially with your academics, that's going to show a lot. Because it's like I went to a UC where it's like they take the top % in the state, and so it was easy because I already had the GPA that they needed. I had the SAT scores that they needed. It's one less thing. So then they know that you have your stuff together, and that's another thing that they may not have to worry about when you're on campus and being able to make that transition academically to college courses.
Great question, Emily.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
One more question, if that's okay.
Go for it.
So in the recruiting process, like when you're on the phone with the coach or like visiting a campus, what are some important questions to ask a college coach to gain information about the campus or the team, I guess you could say?
Yeah. Some questions that I would ask that a lot of people don't ask, is ask the coach how long they're going to be there. Because sometimes that's something I needed to know even as a young college coach, because when I took my first position, my boss had 1 year left on her contract, and it was kind of like, if we didn't win, she was gone. So when I accepted that job, that was just a job thing for me. But I think if the coach is very important to you, that find out how long they think they're going to be there. Of course, coaches can never guarantee, because we also get other opportunities that we leave for. But if that's something that's very important, then I think you should know that. I think you should all ask, how are you going to prepare me for when I graduate? Because that's something, again, near and dear to my heart, and that you all should take it to heart as well, is you are going to school not only to play, but to get an education and to get into the job force. So that was one of our major selling points that I loved about being at Cal Poly, is I feel like the statistic was about 96% of all graduates at Cal Poly had a job within the first year of graduation or before they graduated. So we already knew we were setting up our players for success after they graduated. I know after I graduated, I didn't have any help. Luckily, I was able to go play overseas. That bought me more time. But as intelligent as I am, as a young 21-year-old, I had no clue what I was doing after I graduated because I was so focused on basketball. So really understand what you want out of that college and what they can do for you. So I think you need to ask about all their resources that they have. What's their career services like? What's their academic services like? If there's any special student athlete, maybe career fairs, or alumni relations, how they connect you to the alumni. That would be something really good. And anything other than about like a playing style that you might like. What's the team chemistry like? Anything that you're inquisitive about.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
How did you balance like your academics and being a coach, or even while you were an athlete?
Yeah, that's a good one. For me, I set a lot of fake deadlines for myself. So I actually had, y'all have your technology nowadays, which I use now. If it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist. So I used to have a big calendar up on my bedroom wall, and I used to know the due date from the syllabus, but then I would also then set fake due dates so that I would give myself enough time so that I would have that little buffer in case something came up, and that I was prepared. I would definitely, invest in the planner, understand time management, make sure that you're writing everything down, or again, putting it in your phone, in your calendar. Time management is huge. So I think it is, but that's going to be something that is going to benefit you when you graduate. It's going to make you that much more organized, but really, really invest in your time management piece. And I also think, don't limit yourself. If there are clubs and things that you're interested in, like try to see how you can make that work. And maybe this also ties in with Emily's question, is if you do have things you're interested in, ask the coach, how can we make that work? Because I also don't want any of you to be steered into majors that will not serve you. Because, we had engineers at Cal Poly. It's an engineer-focused college, and those are really intense classes. Or if any of you want to be doctors and you have to take those medical, courses, or do any of those labs, like that's time management. But ask your coaches on those recruiting trips, how am I going to make this work, and how can you help me? Good question.
What did you major in when you first went to college?
I majored in psychology because I love people. I'm a people person. So I majored in psychology. And then I went on to leadership for my master's, and then also for my doctorate. Yeah. If I were to go back, I always say I would do international business or maybe something in fashion.
I have another question.
Go for it.
What do you think it would be like to have a science major and play college basketball at the same time?
It's doable, completely doable. Like I've just mentioned, I had like some of my best friends are my teammates from college, and one's an ER doctor in San Francisco now, and she was able to balance it. Another teammate is like a biochemical engineer, so it really is, it comes down to the dedication, making sure you know what your end goal is, because you all are so young right now. And I am telling you this, if this is me, like if I'm your adult self talking to you, like from the future, is like, your time, especially being so young as you're going into college, will go by so fast that like this is the time to do it. And even though it might suck, it might be hard, it might be difficult, you might be tired, it's much better to do it now. So because what major do you want to go into? Are you looking to go into the bios or the sciences?
Yeah, animal science.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had a few players that were into like veterinary science and everything, so definitely make it work for you. And again, those are questions you want to ask the coaches. How can this curriculum here work with the basketball schedule? Because I know that we would adjust sometimes our schedules for them or figure out a way to work. So really understand if your coach is willing to do that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. What other questions do you all have?
I have a question. So you've obviously seen like all different levels or divisions of college. What do you think is like the biggest difference between like Division 1, Division 2, and Division 3?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. If I just look at the facts of it, I think all of you, I wish I had like a graph to show you, or an infographic is, and that's what I encourage you to do. I don't know if it's one of your homework assignments that you've done, but maybe it could be something that you do for yourself, is understand all the different divisions and what they can offer you. So Division 1, yes, you can have full ride scholarships, right? Division 2, some can have full rides, but sometimes the way that I look at it is sometimes they can just have a big pot of money and then they can divvy that up however they like. At Division 2. Division 3, no scholarships, but if you do have academics, you can get academic scholarships, and that's how we try to balance that out, right? And then JCs, some JCs do give you full rides, so don't sleep on the JCs. Depending on what state they're in and things like that, they can give you full rides, housing, just like any Division 1. And then again, some can do partial or some do none at all, but it's still more cost effective for you to go there. NAIA also very different too. They can also offer some different levels of scholarship for you. I don't know if I left anything else out, but those are kind of like the semantics of it. And then the difference that I saw is you're going to see differences in every single division. So at Division 1, like you can say I was at a Gonzaga, so I was at a top 25 school, right? There's a big difference between me being at Cal Poly, who's a Division 1, and they would be considered a mid-major. And so that the way that looks is maybe some of the resources that you have, maybe some of the support that you have there, those type of things. I know what some people like is maybe even some of the gear or the different things, just what you get. But overall, you're going to have different experiences, I think, just based on the culture. Division 2, again, there's going to be a different competitive level between Division 2. I feel like Division 2's playing schedule can be a little bit rougher, though, just because and that's, again, check the conferences, whether it's their travel or how many games they play. Because I know my best friend, she's coaching at University of Alaska right now, but she was at Cal State Monterey Bay. And then I have one of my other teammates actually and good friends is at Cal State San Bernardino. And they have I want to say 14 or something teams in their schedule. So, or in their conference. So it's they're playing so many games. And then Division 3, I will say the how can I put this? It's the competition level is very different, obviously. That was, maybe I'll be totally authentic, is that was a struggle for me, is because I didn't have enough time to work with the players as much as I wanted to, especially coming from D1, because D1, you're going to have more hours and availability that I can work with you. But in D3, I would only get from October 15th when season starts, and as soon as our last game was over, I was done. I couldn't have any contact with them. So they were basically on their own until we started up again in October 15th. Whereas in D1 and D2, I could still do workouts with them after season was done. So there's that part of it. D3 does offer you more of a, how about it offers you more of a college experience to where you can be involved in a lot more activities. Like there were a lot more sorority engagement, club engagement, research project engagement at D3, because their culture is to be definitely a lot more student life focused versus athletics. But don't get me wrong, like some of the D3 schools that if you're able to watch, like a Tufts, or I want to say like a St. Thomas, like they could compete with the best of the best. They could probably compete with some of the D1 teams out there, you know, even like a George Fox, right? So it really is getting to know the team, the culture, the competitiveness, if that's what you're looking for. Just really do your homework first, understand what you're looking for, and there will be a division out there for you, there will be a conference out there for you, and there will be a team. I was definitely someone that preaches don't be so focused on D1 because there are so many other schools out there. Because I would interact with kids that are like, oh, I got this letter from this person or this school, but it's not D1. I was watching a Twitter video the other day, and this guy was like, he was talking to this kid who got a D2 scholarship offer, but he was like, I don't want it. I want a D1 offer. And he's like, so how much does it cost to go to that D2? And it was whatever, like $20,000 a year or whatever. I'm making up a number. So he was like, so a school is offering you $80,000 to go to school, and you're not going to want to take that, or you don't look at that as a good offer, because you're getting your school paid for when it comes down to it. So, and you get to play. So really make sure you are looking at all offers that are coming your way, or seek them out. If people aren't coming to you, seek them out, because sometimes it can be hard to find players.
How do you think we should go about like educating ourselves on different types of schools and like different areas and things like that?
Areas like what? Like what are the areas that you mean?
Like different parts of the country or like different levels, like how should we educate ourselves on the differences?
Yeah, I think you can start by maybe going to like the NCAA website and maybe looking up the different rankings of schools. So if you are looking for a competitive school, say if you're looking for a competitive school in D3, then you can go to the competitive rankings there and kind of see who are the top schools there, because you're like, okay, I want something competitive, but I want D3 because I still want to be able to have these other experiences. So that's how you can start narrowing it down. The parts of the country, that is definitely like up to you. You'd have to definitely go visit, because as what a lot of people will find out is they might just pick a school just because it has their major, and then when they get there, like the community isn't a good fit for them, you know. So I think definitely try to take visits if you are able to. I know that's not always the case, especially in this day and time. And I think you can, like, it's a really good question. I'm trying to even think about how things have changed. Like, I even wonder how you can use social media and maybe get a feel for what it looks like there, or if there's somebody you can contact there that's gone there and they could tell you their experience. Like, get creative on how you can research it that way. Yeah. And then I think follow up with the team after you have made your visit or talk to the team there. Follow up with them so that you can talk to them again after the visit.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Great questions, guys. Hey,
I have something.
So
Go for it.
Go ahead.
Hey, Dr. Shaw, this is Coach Gerald. I'm Vanessa's husband.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. We're actually in the same house too. I'm just
Okay.
Upstairs. He's upstairs.
You know, the one thing you said today that I know me and Vanessa has been talking to the girls about, and that's knowing the history of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing the women that paved the way for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been to tournaments where we saw some of the greats, Cynthia Cooper, people like that, and we're still in awe looking at these women, and it's just you have to know who paved the way for you guys, and I was glad you said that.
Yeah.
I was very glad that you said that today.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, even when we would have our basketball camps, because I will say I probably didn't learn that lesson until I was probably, I was at GU, so I was probably maybe like 32 years old or something, maybe around there, 32 to 33. And
Wow.
I had gone to the NCAA had a women's coaches academy, and I had gone there, and they had done a lot of history teaching for all of us women coaches. And then we actually had some of the pioneers that were on the, ground level of working on Title IX. So we were actually able to listen and come face to face with these women who were actually doing it. And it made such a huge impact that we started incorporating that in our camps and doing just like, mini history lessons so that people could know. But then it was also interesting. I found an old box from when I was in high school, and I actually did a report on it. But so I guess maybe there's kind of been this women empowerment thing in me since I was younger, but the more and more that you learn about it, the more and more you understand, even like with U.S. women's soccer, all the things that they're fighting for now.
Yeah.
Imagine what that was like back in like 1972.
Right.
So yeah. And something that where it's like you'll look at the game differently to where you should not be taking it for granted. And that's something else, even if you do have the chance to, just the fact that you all have the chance to play now on this team, like don't take that for granted. And if you do get an opportunity to play in college, don't take that for granted. Like always stay humble, because, there's other people that wish they could be in your shoes and have this opportunity. And they don't. So, and use the opportunity to help propel you forward so then you can pull somebody else up, when you're done.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I got a question.
Yes.
So my question is sort of similar to Emily's, but just a little bit different. My question is, if somebody who's interested in your program calls you, what could she say that would keep your attention, keep your interest? Like what questions are you looking for from a potential recruit where you can be like, ooh, I like this. I think I like this young lady.
Yeah. Oh, great. So I would say, yes, it's going to be the questions that you ask. So even like how Emily was asking, what questions can I ask? If you even come prepared with questions, like one, that's going to make an impact. And then, but for me, even when you said that, sometimes it's not even about the questions. It's about your consistent contact. Because when I was a head coach, even when I was an assistant, but I found that the people that kept in contact with me the most and followed up, because I would leave any interested person, anytime I left the phone with them or got off the phone, I would say, just stay in contact with me. I would give them that line. I would say, just stay in contact with me if you're really interested, and I would see who would. And so to me, that was their first test to see if they would act, to see if it was intentional, because I know I'm going to stay in contact with you, if I'm, looking for a player like you, or I've seen you and I initiated the contact. But if you stay in contact with me, that's going to show a lot, especially if it's cold call. If it's a cold call, because then I'm going to be like, wow, like they're responsible. They actually followed up and they actually want to know more and things like that. So I think it's the constant contact.
Thank you.
I will give you advice too, is that the way that you are delivering your videos and your contact to coaches, that also makes an impact. so I forgot about this, so I'm glad you brought that up, is I cannot tell you, like, coaches, I'm going to tell you the truth. Coaches will not watch your whole highlight film. They will not. Like, we're able to, when we're watching you in the stands and things like that, we're able to assess probably within the first few minutes. I mean, if we see something, at least like one thing that sparks us, then okay, we'll keep watching. We'll watch for things, because some of these coaches, you know, I was doing it for 15 years. So it's like I kind of knew the player that I wanted. I knew what I was looking for, so I could spot that. When I was first starting out as a younger coach, yeah, I would have to watch you so many times and so intently. But as you get more and more years into the game, you're able to spot it quicker. But for the videos, I don't think I've ever watched a complete video that any recruit has sent me. Please do not send slow motion. Do not put slow motion film. I think what you need to do is just put together, you can do some edits, but I think I really enjoyed watching the ones that maybe were like a 10-minute clip, 5 to 10-minute clip of just like continuous play, because then I could see how you react. And it's okay if you make mistakes. Like, you're not going to play the perfect game. I want to see how you respond, how you move, and the flow of it. But definitely no slow motion. Do not show me you doing ball handling drills. I've seen it all. I've seen a girl show me that she could run around the court. I've seen her jogging. Like, if I see that right out the gates, I'm like, I'm done. Like, I can't. Like, so watch the music that you put. I don't know if y'all are still putting music on these videos. Watch the music that you put, because that also shows me your character. You know, I'm good to listen to any kind of music, but this is your first professional interaction. This is also like when you go into the career field, this is you practicing your professional interaction. So if I have cursing and I have like all this stuff like in this, like, great, I'm not judging, but if this is going to be the first impression that I have of you, like, I'm like, nah, you know. But again, it depends on the coach. What else did I see that that you should steer away from that was very common? Maybe long emails, like, get to the point, because we don't have that much time. So again, and that's also in the professional setting. Like, if you're trying to connect with someone, like, just get straight to the point, and maybe have a couple lines that show your personality, and then, you know, here's what I have to offer. Also, please make sure when you're out there playing, please make sure, and maybe this goes to the coaches too, college coaches will consistently complain that jersey numbers do not match what is in the roster and what is in the book. Like there are times when I hate to say it, but there are times when if it took me too long to figure out, I'm like, I can find another player that's going to be like that. Unless you were some crazy exceptional player where I'm like, I need to track down this young woman's like jersey number and who she is. But if I'm like, yeah, I've seen about 5 players like her, you know, it could go either way. So the easier, again, that you can make it is make sure the jersey that because I remember when I was in high school and I probably forgot my jersey, and so I wore somebody else's number. So it's like, make sure those numbers are matching. You have all the correct contact information, because I've called numbers that aren't correct. So I think that's not only on your coaches, but that might be on you too. Like, what are you supplying? How are you taking responsibility for that? Yeah. That's something definitely to watch out for.
Wow, we appreciate you saying that. You have no idea of the last 2 weeks. It's almost like you've been with us the last 2 weeks. But you know, we're in this time. We tell our girls, as far as the recruiting process, you want to be on one of 3 lists. You want to be on a contact list, you want to be on an evaluation list, or you want to be on the recruiting list. Definitely before you get out there. So we encourage our girls to email the coaches. We talk specifically about the subject line to kind of catch their attention.
Nice.
What to put in the body, where they're going to be, their jersey number, etc. We tell them, and this is the hard part, and maybe you can shed some light and help them get over this. we tell them to pick up the phone and call the coach.
Yeah.
Because I think that will just separate them from others. I mean, we live in a day and age of this, but if you just pick up the phone and start a relationship with your future college coach, this is the language we use. You know, that we want you to start now. We have a young group. We have one junior and the rest are sophomores and freshmen. So we have time, but we don't have time. So we want them to get on the radar, you know, sooner than later. So they're trying to get over this hurdle now with having to call. They've all emailed, but the follow-up calls is, you know, they're struggling with it. They have some anxiety about it, but I think it's important. I think that's a huge piece to starting to build relationships, and because that's the direction we're going, I think.
Yeah, the calls definitely will make you stand out, I think, because a lot that's kind of like it's falling to the wayside now, us actually having contact, like pick up the phone and call, you know, like it's weird if somebody calls you or like it's an emergency or something, but yeah, call, pick up, because again, if you are trying to stand out and be different, it's like some of the players that I've seen that go above and beyond, like where you talk about like they have that it factor or they're just doing more. Like you can look at the Sabrinas, you can look at the Kelsey Plums, you can you know, look at these young women, but I think it's even when you watch them talk, right? Like when they're doing interviews, you can tell that they're just of a different caliber. They're just of a different caliber. And so when you do meet a young woman that like can really be confident, can get out there, can go up and shake a hand, can give you like eye contact, can make the initiative, like that definitely stands out. And that's going to then carry you into the corporate world, you know, or whatever you get into. Like take advantage of this is like the best internship that you could possibly have that's going to develop you further. Like I know if I didn't have sports, I kind of don't know where I would be. I don't think I would have been like this. So it's definitely because of teammates and people I surrounded myself with. Like sports definitely helps you. And my nerdy side will tell you that I want to say it's like in the 90 percentile women that it's the Ernst & Young report. They said that in the C-suite level, so that's like CEOs, COOs, all those big time positions, like of the women that hold those positions, it's like I want to say 90% of them played sports. 50% of them I want to say played high school sports. So so it's proven that if you play sports, you've already set yourself up to be successful. So it's like you should be proud of that, and you should really take advantage of the opportunities that you're given.
Good stuff. Well, I have my college teammate here with me.
Hi.
She has a question, actually.
Go for it.
I mean, it's more to get these girls really mindful of what they're posting, but as a coach, do you go and search out their social profiles? Do you look at what they're posting on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or
no?
Yes.
Okay, Facebook's too much.
All of it. Yeah, that's a good question.
And I guess I'm just saying, you know, are you young women being mindful of what you're putting on all of these social medias, because you're going to have coaches and employers?
Yes.
There.
Oh, that's so good. That's a good question. Yeah, and the answer is yes, absolutely. Like even as a head coach, you know, as an assistant and everything, because I can navigate social media pretty decent, and I would be like, okay, like go look up the social media, see what's out there, and that can also, yes, be a separation factor. And I want to say yes, I probably have crossed somebody off my list because of their social media, and that's I don't think that's so uncommon, and that even goes to when you are on a college team, like what are you putting out there? Because you're representing us now. So what you're putting out there, that's the team. And same for the team that you're on now. You're representing them. So what you put out there is a direct reflection for your teammates. So definitely watch it. It's a good tool to use, but just know how are you marketing yourself? How are you putting yourself out there? because it does speak volumes. And maybe you've learned and seen in the news, like some of those things, like you can't take back. Like people will search you and they'll find out all sorts of things, or even in the comments that you are leaving. So that's another thing. It might not be necessarily what you posted as a picture, but some of the comments that you might say can speak volumes as well. But again, that's another way to set yourself apart, right? Like, what if you had an amazing like Instagram page that showed all this great stuff you're doing? Like, coaches would love that, and that's another way that they can get to know you, and they would like that for sure. Yeah, good question. Same thing as employers. Like people that I've hired, like even when I was hiring people at the Clippers, I was like, look up their social media, because I was like, you're going to be out here training and coaching these kids. I know that parents will then be looking at your page, or the kids will be looking at your page, and what they will find, I don't want that to fall back on the Clippers organization.
And maybe take it a little further, Doctor, if you would. What kind of things would impress you about someone's social media? If was it their training? Is it personal stuff with their family, or what kind of stands out to you as a positive?
Yeah, I think if you can show your personality, if you're having a good time with your friends, that's great. I think especially as young women, like I can't ignore the fact, like you don't need to be showing your bodies off like that. I've seen plenty of instances where it's like it's great, but and you're proud of it. But I also think sometimes levels are crossed, and you could be posed different ways. And I think just be mindful of that. Like I would hate to leave this session and not say anything regarding that, because I know it happens. And then I would also say, yeah, show pictures of your family, show how you're interacting. If you're doing community service, like, and if you have any accolades that you want to, show there, then like, if you got an award, like, that's great. Definitely you can show some of your basketball. That could be a good place where you can put some of those basketball clips that you want as well. Maybe not slow motion, like I said, but like you could put some nice little clips up there. Talk about your interests. Like if you love art, like I had a college teammate that she was an artist, like she loved art. And so that was pretty cool to learn a different side, because then it shows your depth and it shows the diversity of like who you are. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ladies, soak it all in. Take advantage of this opportunity before we let her go.
Yeah.
Couple more questions.
I have one last question.
Go for it.
When would you say, and I've heard a bunch of different opinions on this, when would you say is the best time to call or to contact the college coaches that we're talking to?
Anytime, just as long as it's not during like a dead period where you can't like pretty much legally call them, I guess. Yeah, anytime. Yeah, you shouldn't be afraid to. But yeah, don't put it off. Reach out, especially I think you've all started with the emails, so that's great. And like even set up a time. That could be something, especially right now, is say, hey, are there any times that you're available? And then you can also maybe give them times that work well for you, instead of maybe leaving it open-ended, because that's also leading into your professional life as well, is really setting up times like, hey, I'm available, Mondays from 12 to 3 p.m. Like, are you available this time too? Or does this work for you? Or can you give me other times that you're available to talk and I can make it work? So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This has been fantastic. Fantastic. I think that, after taking this all in, we watched a video several weeks ago, and it was, talking about basketball, talking about school, and then talking about more. And you kind of took all of that home. I mean, with your education and all your experiences, and D1, D2, D3, coaching, Clippers. I mean, it just brings it home that basketball is just it's just a vehicle, but it could take you anywhere you want it to go. And I also love the fact of, and this is probably something we should push more of, when you go to college, you're asking what they can do for you.
Oh yeah.
That's a different shift, I think, for some people, and we don't talk about it as much. You know, I want to go to this college, and then that's it. But you know, you really want to check all your boxes, because you have to think about what's next, and how can this opportunity take you to the next opportunity. And I think you explained that pretty clear, where the girls could really get it. So.
I've always said, you know, they're going to use you, like athletically. They're going to use you. They're going to send you out to boosters. They're going to have you talk to the community. You're going to do community service. You're going to do all these great things, but do not forget to use the university. Like, that's not only your athletic department, but get outside the athletic department and get to know the larger university, because that can break so many stereotypes and open up a lot more. I didn't even know where the Career Center was on my campus until I was a senior in high school, because it was my last class that I had to take, and I had to find an internship. So that's all of a sudden I was like, oh, I need to find an internship. You have to go here, just because it was in my class. But if I would have known where that Career Center was as a freshman, you know, but so I learned. So afterwards, when I became a coach, I for dang sure knew that as I was recruiting, that was my pitch. Like, you are going to be set up before you graduate, and you coming in should know what you want to do or have some type of clue. So maybe that could be something that makes you stand out. If you come in prepared, knowing like, this is what I want to get into or something, and you've done your research about that, now how are you going to help me get there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I know it's late. Where are you? Are you in LA?
I'm in LA. Yeah. So yeah.
I know it's
West Coast.
We appreciate your time, and we thank you, the coaching staff, Magic, and all the girls. We'll be talking about this for weeks to come, I'm sure. So
yeah.
Thank you, and we appreciate your time.
All right.
And
yeah, you have my contact. I'm on Instagram. I'm Dr. Julie Shaw. So if any of you want to have any other questions, you can let me know.
Will do.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Good call. Hope you guys took notes, but don't worry, I recorded it. I got it this time. Yep. Yes, she was supposed to tell me to record it. I remember. Yeah, ladies, you know, this is you know, we're just hoping that you're hearing everything that we're saying and other people are saying. But I think that her experience, you guys can identify with, because she's been where you are, and she's exactly where you want to be, if you and maybe even more. I mean, you guys, there's a lot of you. I mean, we have a lot of 3.8, 3.9, 4.0 students. So we got some future doctors, lawyers, whatever, you know, anything. So the fact that you can play basketball, use it as an opportunity and a tool to get where you want to go, I think that is the message that was driven home tonight. So that should be even more exciting, and that should motivate you to pick up the phone tomorrow. Dang it. Pick up the phone. Call them. All right, I'm gonna close it out. Coaches, you got anything?
Take it all in. Take it all in. Matt, it's coming.
Girl, you good? All right. Stacy?
I'm good.
You good? All right, ladies. Take it all in. Sleep on it. Wake up. Tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow's a better day. Tomorrow's the best day. Have a great night, and we'll see you on the other side. Oh, Saturday. See you on the 15th.
Thank you, Coach. Later, Coach.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.